Hello, I am excited to jump into today's training with you guys. This is on one of my favorite topics, which is strength training. And our goal during the challenge is to incorporate strength training into our week, 3 days minimum. And this is about building a strong, toned body. So, in our training, we're going to cover several things. One is why strength training is essential for women, what being toned actually means. I'll discuss the difference between what a beginner versus an intermediate training looks like, and then also what your progression should look like. And then lastly, how to challenge yourself but stay safe while we do that. So, jumping first thing, why is this important? If your goal is to lose fat and to look toned, to feel strong, and improve your metabolism, then strength training is not an optional thing. It needs to be essential for you. Basically, our cardio and dieting alone is not going to create the shape of the body that you're looking for. Your body and the shape that you have that looks toned, that shape is created by muscle. So let's talk about what toned actually means, because a lot of times we say that, like, I want to look a little bit more toned. Well, toned is not just about getting smaller. It's not done by doing endless cardio, and it's not created by lifting light weights forever. What being toned actually is and what creates that look is building muscle and then reducing your body fat. That's it. It's simple, but sometimes we overlook the key point, which is muscle. Muscle is what is going to give your body shape, it's going to give you definition, and it's going to create that tight, fit look that most women are wanting. Without muscle, weight loss alone is going to lead to several things. A soft look, even though you're smaller, you're not going to look toned, you're going to look soft. You're going to be losing strength, which is really, really, detrimental to women in general. And that's also going to be slowing your metabolism. So what we want to do with our strength training is make sure that we're building and maintaining that muscle through the process. So let's talk about why this matters, especially for women. Well, strength training is going to help you to do that, build and maintain your muscle. It also is going to help to boost metabolism, which means that you're going to be burning more calories even when you're not doing your work. And this is really important because the amount of time that we're working out is such a small fraction of the total amount of calories that are burned. What is more important is what your body is doing the rest of the time. And so, strength training and having muscle is going to help you to burn more calories outside of that workout time. It's also going to help to improve your bone density, which is huge for women, especially as we age. We're all at risk for loss of bone density, and this is the way to keep that strong and healthy skeletal system. It also is going to help to increase your strength and your confidence. There's nothing more exciting than seeing a strong, confident, capable woman and, having the strength to do all the activities that you want to and live in your life and support yourself. It comes through building strength and muscle. It also is really important for supporting long-term fat loss. So one of the things that's going to help you to maintain your fat loss results is having muscle on your body. So it's not just about the aesthetics or the way that we look. It's really about longevity and the quality of life that we have, from now through the rest of our years. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the different levels when it comes to strength training. A lot of times with challenges, we'll have mostly beginners and intermediates. And so, this will help you kind of determine where you are within that range. Most of our participants, like I said, are true beginners or they're early lifters. And so I want to break down the difference there. True beginners is, when you are in the learning phase. And so this is for somebody who does not have experience with weightlifting or, strength training in general. So during this time, you are really focusing on learning the movement patterns, like what your body is supposed to be doing throughout the lift. You're really focused on learning proper form and technique, like how your body is supposed to be positioned, and also how the exercises should feel. So this is building that pattern through repetition of, knowing how to properly perform the exercise. And, at this stage, we really should be, and it's okay to start with lighter weights. Now, a lot of times I'll talk about like, okay, we need to lift heavy, we need to push ourselves. But if you're a true beginner, you really do need to start light until you are comfortable with the movement and you've built up that tolerance and strength to then progress to heavier. So light weights are okay. We're really focused on the control and technique. So everything is really intentional, and we're not just mindlessly going through the exercises. You may be watching more videos and, trying to learn what that looks like. We're looking at a mirror. Also, working with a personal trainer is a great time to do it in the beginning so that you get that reinforcement of the movement. And really what you're doing is we're building a foundation. And so this is where all of that progression and strength and improvement is going to grow from. If we don't have these basics down in the beginning, you're not going to be able to progress and do that safely. So start light, focus on the technique, control, and build that strong foundation. Progression in the beginning, if you're a beginner, is going to start with just learning, right? So you're going to be watching the videos, trying the reps out, getting used to how that feels on the body. And then through that beginning stage, you're going to begin to feel more confident as you have repeated the exercises multiple times. And gradually, as you build that confidence and your tolerance and strength improves, you can gradually start to increase weight. And, this is going to be for some people a matter of a few weeks. For others, it's a matter of months. And it really matters how consistently you're doing the workouts, because the best way to improve and to get better is to repeat the movements and have consistency. Now let's talk about that next stage, which is intermediate or moving towards it. Now is when things are going to start to shift. So you're no longer just learning what the movement should be, but you are going to start actually challenging the body. And this is where a lot of women really get stuck, is that they start in that beginner mode with those light weights and they just never challenge themselves and they never move forward and they're just stuck there forever. Well, with that, there's a problem with staying too comfortable. If you're constantly using the same weights every week and you never really push yourself beyond that uncomfortable feeling when it's like burns a little bit, or you never push yourself close to your limit, well, by not pushing yourself, your body has no reason to change. You're going through the motions. Yes, you're moving your body, which is great, but you're not going to change your body in that sense. And so really that progress is going to require the extra challenge. And this is where that intermediate phase starts to really kick in. So what progression should look like for you? Progression is just gradually doing a little bit more over time. So you're not going to jump straight up to the heavy weights because you've tried an exercise. You're going to do that gradually. So it can look like a slight increase in weight, trying a little bit heavier dumbbell or machine. It can also, if you don't want to increase the weight, or if you don't have the higher weights to jump into, it could be done by increasing reps. And a lot of times in our workouts and our programs, we'll put a rep range for you where it's like we recommend doing, 10 to 15 reps. You want to do something in that range. Well, you get closer to pushing yourself over time. You start at the lower end and then you can increase to the higher end, right? So you're gradually doing more volume. Another way to push yourself is to focus more on form and control. That mind to body connection is so powerful. And sometimes when we've done an exercise several times, we really start to lose the focus. So really bringing that mind to body connection, think about what muscles you're working, how to do the form correctly, and just being more in control is going to make a big difference in how you feel that and also push you a little bit more. The other one, which I love, is slowing down the tempo so that you get more of that muscle engagement. The longer that we have tension on the muscles throughout the movement, the slower you go, the harder it's going to feel, right? And so that is another way of pushing yourself and making it more difficult. Because you're slowing down and you're being more intentional, you don't have to go up in weight. You're going to feel it more. So that's one of my other favorite ways to increase that push. So one thing I want to point out is that you do not have to jump straight up to maxing out every single workout. You're not going to failure every set, but you really should feel the challenge and get comfortable with pushing past that burn where it feels like a little bit hard, and really making it so that as you gain more experience week over week, that intensity is also going to increase. So we're not going to just jump right into that. But over time, we're pushing ourselves more and more and more, and it's becoming more and more challenging. So you can ask yourself, like, to know whether you're challenging yourself enough. If you're doing an exercise, for example, could you have done 5 more reps beyond the rep range easily? So let's say it says 10 reps. Maybe you're doing shoulder press, you're pushing up and down, you do your 10 reps. In your mind, think, could I have kept going? Could I have gotten 15 or 20 reps? If the answer is yes, then that is, indicating that you probably are going too light in this intermediate phase. It's an indication that it's time to increase the intensity, right? To challenge yourself more. So you can do one of those things that we suggested. You could add a couple of reps, or you could increase weight, you could slow it down, and, really push yourself to that next level. And when you do that, your set should be feeling like you can do the required number of reps. Let's say it's 10, but maybe you could only get like 1 or 2 more. And, when you're first starting out, you may have to test yourself and say, okay, I think I can, only get 1 or 2 more. What if I go for 12? Get to 12 and then ask yourself, am I done now? Or could I have kept going? That's where that change happens, when we test and challenge ourselves beyond, what we are just comfortable with. A lot of times women will get into that just kind of comfort zone where you're just kind of cranking it out and you're doing the same weight and the same reps and you never change anything and you never challenge yourself. And really that is limiting your potential. So what your goal is in the challenge, obviously, is we're trying to do our 3 days per week of strength training. And that, I think, is a nice minimum for women. If you are beyond intermediate and you're moving up into that intermediate advanced level, you can train more than 3 days per week. You can also push yourself, harder into that closer to failure range and, continue to build on that. But we don't do that in the beginning. For the challenge, though, at least 3 times per week. And that's a great amount of consistency to begin to build and work your way from beginner to intermediate to advanced. We definitely always want to be focused on form and effort. Those 2 things are the building blocks. They're the foundation for, having a strong body, being able to change your body with strength training and have like good, safe lifts. The third thing is to gradually be pushing yourself. Work up gradually. Don't jump from point A to point Z. We got to take all the steps in between, and through that progression is where that strength really happens. So just remember, you're not here just to check the box and to go through the motions. We want to get what we can out of that moment when you're challenging yourself. We're here to build the strength, we're here to build muscle, and we're here to build confidence. And I love that for women, and definitely is one of my favorite parts of the challenge. Couple of reminders: you will not get bulky. Even if you are pushing yourself as hard as you can, women just do not build muscle quickly and unintentionally. So don't worry about that. You're not going to, start lifting on day 1 and in a month realize, oh, I overdid it and now I'm jacked. No, it takes a long, long time and a lot of food and a lot of stimulus and, really pushing yourself to get big muscles. But what you will get by pushing yourself and being consistent is you will get stronger, you will get more defined, and you will build that confidence by going through the reps. So remember, muscle is what's going to give your body, what you're working for. It's going to build that shape and look athletic, look strong. And it's built by showing up and challenging yourself consistently. So let's go for it.